All right. Genesis chapter 12 and 13. We decided to do two because they're pretty short. And I think a lot of us know this story, but like we want to give this opportunity for all of us to be able to like talk about the points that kind of stood out to us the most. So we're gonna get started and chapter 12, verse 1, we kind of stopped right there because can everyone see the notes?
I just wanted to make sure before we started.
You can do like a thumbs up or just let us know if y'all can or cannot see the notes.
It should be a option at the bottom of your Zoom screen that says notes that you can click on. Oh no, okay.
She said she can't. Okay.
Hold on, let me see if okay, it says Latanya.
It looks like it's loading initially, but if you kind of like, I guess, keep it on that screen, it should come up.
Okay.
I can see it now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, cool. All right. So, like I said, I'm on my phone tonight. I don't have my laptop. So usually I have like my laptop in a split screen with the notes on one side. But I kind of remember because I highlighted everything we want to go over. But first it says, and Yah said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's house to the land I will show you. And then we kind of just stopped right there to kind of hit on the fact that clearly Terah, which is Abraham's dad, they were living in this place full of idols this whole time, and all of a sudden Yah just calls Abram. It was very well, we don't know if it was abrupt for Abram, but like the way they were reading it in Genesis is just like, hey, get up, let's go. Leave your family, leave your relatives, leave everything that you know, and just come follow me. And we want to point out that why does Yah call us to leave a place of comfort if he wants us to walk with him? And in the notes, we kind of go over how for Abram, like a lot of us, our family, our familiar places and people could be attached to spirits and unclean things that the Father needs to remove us from so he can show us who he is without the convoluting of other people say so and what other people grew up in or whatever other people or what you may have grew up thinking that was right or okay or was tradition. Yah's like, I need you to leave all of that so me and you can just talk. Because this is just for me and you. Anything you want to add, Coty T? Or anybody else?
Nope.
Okay. And I think
sorry.
Oh, you're good. And then,
I was trying to paste the notes into the chat so that
okay, yeah.
Is it Natalie? Am I saying your name right?
Yeah, it is actually. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay.
Hey.
I love that spelling.
Thank you. I've grown to love it. Thanks. But
okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like because I'm on my work laptop, so this is like Zoom Workplace, but I thought that I don't know. I don't know why I can't see it, but
okay. I'm gonna just post a little bit of the notes in the chat just so that you can you can see what Samaria is going over.
Okay.
If that helps a little bit.
Yes.
And also Samaria also shares the notes after as like what is it?
On a Word doc?
On a Word doc, yes. She shares it as well afterwards. So you'll be able to see all the notes that we went over tonight.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to go over it, I know you were telling me that you were in Genesis too. Like I've been telling her to go to Genesis.
Yes.
And so she probably already read over this, but if you want to look at our notes, then feel free. I'll send you the link to all of our Genesis. I think we started sharing the notes after Genesis 2 or 3 and onward. So we can just send you those or send everybody those who will want the link. We'll just send it to y'all after the call tonight.
Okay, perfect. Thank y'all.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. And so then we go right into like, literally, Yah doesn't do like too much of a stipulation for Abram. He just says, leave your country, your people. I mean, it's a lot. That is a lot. He's just saying, leave because I'm going to make you a great nation. I'm going to bless you. You're going to have a great name. Like Yah is making all these I will statements, like it's very much like what I'm going to do for you. And so it's very much like Yah is just like over flooding Abram with all these promises and these blessings that he's like, if you walk with me, this is your portion. And it's just like, it's a lot. Like, I'm gonna bless you. You're gonna be a great name. You're gonna be a blessing to others because I'm blessing you. Those who bless you will be blessed, and those who curse you will be cursed. And everybody's gonna be blessed through you. Like, everybody knows this verse. People quote it all the time. But looking at it on hindsight, it's like, wow, y'all just like, leave everything and come with me, and I got all this for you, right? It kind of sounds like, oh, like, in our human trauma-filled mind, like, that sounds a little too good to be true, right? But Abraham wasn't thinking like that. It was very much, okay, like, I don't really know this guy, but like, I'm a go with him. And so I just really liked, like, we talk about faith like Abraham all the time, but like, let's not separate Abram from his humanity, because clearly he kind of deviated, like he kind of made an edit to what Yah told him to do. He said, leave your people, which means leave your relatives, leave anyone who's related to you, right? And so it says, so Abraham went as Yah had told him, and Lot went with him. And so you're like, oh, well, Lot went with him. Like, yeah, that was a deviation from the original plan.
Yeah.
And so Lot went with him, and everything seems good, right? For right now. So Abraham was 75 years old, so he was a lot older. And so was Sarah. They were both pretty old at this time, and Lot went with them. But also, I'm going to point out, all the possessions they had accumulated and the people that they had acquired in Haran, they all set for the land of Canaan. So it's like a twofold kind of thing. Like, either the people that you take, so there's certain people, some people you can take with you, but if Yah said don't bring these type of people, don't bring those relatives, don't bring that person with you, because I forgot what I put in the notes to you. Can you read it for me? It says something about like, either that person is going to be, oh dang, what did the note say? I said something about that person is either going to be like an interference, or they won't be. But we know how the story plays out. Lot ends up being an interference, but the people who went with him that were his possessions, they also became, like, not all of them, but a few of this, like one of the servants we know ends up being Hagar, who was one of the people that they accumulated, also ends up being like an interference in a way. So it's like this twofold situation that I was seeing. I was like, okay, Yah told Abram, don't take no relatives. He took a lot, but he also took all the stuff that all the people, all the servants they accumulated while they were in Haran as well. And all of those people set for the land of Canaan. So it's a twofold. Some people are going to be, everybody got blessed through Abram, just like Yah said. So we're going to see that. Okay. And they arrived there. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh, which is funny because the word Moreh in Hebrew also translates to teacher, at Shechem. At the time, the Canaanites were in the land, and Yah appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring, I will give this land. So he built an altar there for Yahuwah, who had appeared to him. And from there, he went towards the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the east and Ai on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to Yahuwah and called on the name of Yah. And I think the thing that I was really highlighting here, it says Yah appeared to Abram and said to this, like, this is the first time the word offspring is being mentioned to Abram. And so, but then it says he built an altar. And so I was looking like, okay, so he's building this altar, but he's not burning a sacrifice. He's not shedding any blood on the altar. He's not even burning incense. He's just building an altar. And so looking at the culture and context of the place, like, building an altar to Yah was also like Abraham saying, like, I believe this promise. I know your presence is here. I'm not assuming that this is going to happen right now, but I know it's a promise that it will happen. And so, yeah, that's what it is. Like, building the altar was basically Abram, like, yeah, I believe you, Yah. I believe your presence is here, and I'm building this altar in anticipation of what you're going to do rather than assuming it. And I think that's a lesson in itself for all of us, because sometimes we have to believe the word that Yah gave us, even in the midst of a place like, with Abram, he's overrun. This land that Yah says is his is overrun by Canaanite. But he's like, I'm going to build this marker. I'm going to build this altar that is a sure sign that the presence of Yah is here, and I know what he told me, that this land is mine. This land is going to be mine, or this land is mine. Even outside of our naked eye of seeing what we see, who's currently there, or who's currently ruling. Yeah, I was like, I know who's here right now, but this is not their land. Like, or for a lot of us, Yah might be sending you somewhere, or putting you somewhere, and you're like, yeah, you want me to go over here, but this person is already flourishing here. This person already has a ministry here. They're not going to listen to me. Like, who am I? I just got here. Yeah, I was like, I don't care what you're seeing with your eyes. I said that this place, this territory belongs to you, and it's going to happen. And so I just think that we have to learn how to build altars to Yah in the name of Yah when he calls us to a place that seems like, wow, I don't think this doesn't look like what you said, Father, but like, I believe you. So hope is faith is the thing of hope for, of things not seen. And literally that's what Abraham was doing when he was marking this place with an altar to Yah. So I thought that was amazing. Does anybody else have anything they want to comment from what they read so far? Like, this is very casual, open form. This is just sisters talking. So I don't want y'all to think that this is just me and T talking. This is literally for everybody to just like jump in if they feel comfortable. And I know it's y'all first time. So, but yeah, just want to let that be known.
I'll just pick back off of what you said, just to kind of add in a little bit of the other notes that we kind of observe during this time. So at this time, this is the starting point for Abraham. And I think that Samaria already kind of mentioned this, but just kind of want to really harp on, like, as we continue to read through Abraham's story, we're going to see the progression and perfecting of his faith throughout his walk with Yah. Because he had a starting point, just like we have a starting point. And I think that's what Samaria was saying about, like, just that human factor. Like, you know, like Abraham started at a place of just taking one leap of faith. Abba gave him a promise and he believed it. He had, he had the faith to believe, and he took that step and he left. Even though he did make a deviation, like she said, to what Abba told him to do, he still took the leap of faith. But it shows you, it shows you the start of the progression of his relationship with Yah. Because as we continue to read in Genesis, we already have read it before, but we'll see again, like, that his relationship and his faith got perfected, and it got stronger and stronger, especially when he had Isaac, and he had to go and sacrifice up Isaac. He had the faith that the Most High was going to provide that ram in the bush for him, for that sacrifice. So it's just that different. We talked about this last week for everybody who wasn't on last week, but we just kind of were discussing the different levels and stages and seasons of our relationship with Yah, and how it's like a marriage, and when you begin a relationship with anyone, you start at a stage of getting to know them, right? You come into like a courtship in a sense with them, and you start to get to know them, for who they are. And that's what the Most High at this point is starting to do. He's starting to court Abraham and show him, like, hey, this is the Elohim, this is the power that I am, and they kind of start forming that relationship from here. So just kind of want to, like, just to add that on, like, about the relationships and how we still have to, like, sometimes we can make our ancestors and our forefathers, like, we can make them less human than they were, and they were human and they were flesh, just like we are. So we just, just remember it, so we can be practical with the word, because I know a lot of us, we look at Abraham, we look at, a lot of these stories, and we say, like, oh, well, man, I don't know if I could have did that, but like, Abraham was just like us, so it just starts from starting that relationship, and then you go into the covenant. So just wanted to kind of harp on that.
I want to read Natalie's comment. She was like, I noticed that too. Abraham had to be built up in his faith over his lifetime. He had to get to a point of faith to even sacrifice Isaac. And like, that's literally what we're all saying. So hallelujah for all being like on the same mind track of how Yah is really showing us that, like, hey, everybody has to start somewhere. We say have faith like Abram, and it's really not hard to have faith like Abraham, but it is a lifetime. It is a continual journey. It's a relationship is like, okay, like, will you marry me? Yes. We're gonna be married forever. So it's a life, like, Coach T talked about. This is Yah courting Abraham before they even do the covenant that involves any kind of shedding of blood. But it's like, okay, walk with me, get to know me. Let's start this process. And the longer you walk with someone, the longer you're married to someone, the more faith you have about who their character is. So when they ask you to do something crazy, they're not actually asking you to do nothing that's outside of their character, which is, that's beautiful.
And also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I can see all you guys now. I figured out how to do the grid.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. The only other thing I will add is we kind of touched on a little bit, and we'll see it more in, I would say, chapter 13, where like where it shows us the importance of the separation that Yah called for in the beginning from Lot. But just since we're talking about like what was established from the beginning with Abraham, and what the command was to Abraham, me and Samaria, when we were going over it together, we kind of like saw that, like, of course the scriptures do not really speak about the character of Lot's father, Abraham's brother, but we do know that Abraham's father was a idol maker. We see that in Joshua 24:2, and then if you read the whole story in Jasher, the book of Jasher, chapter 11, verses 21 through 49. We know that Abraham and his siblings grew up worshiping, like idols. Like that was their lifestyle as far as like where what they grew up in, right? And so in Genesis 9, we talked about Noah, and we read how Noah cursed his grandson, Canaan, after what happened. And I think we kind of went over about like, just first and foremost, it was like your children's children, that received that blessing or that curse, right? But also we kind of see like how the mindset of like, or in characteristics of a father passes down into their lineage, right? Into their children. So me and Samaria were talking about like Lot's descendants, the Moabites, and we see throughout that lineage and throughout like the scriptures of like where that went, right? They were serving idols, and they were doing different things. Even Lot's daughters, who tricked him into obviously procreating with him, with them, that was a wicked thing for them to do, to their father. So just kind of want to like bring out that, because that is why separation is needed, right? When the Most High tells us to separate from certain people or certain things, those people or those things could be still carrying things from the past that he's trying to separate you from, and trying to bring it into, like we can't bring that into the promise, pretty much, is what the Most High was showing. And he ended up, like, obviously he ended up severing the tie, but just shows like, okay, how all these things link together, and how when the Most tell us to do something, he command us to do something, it's not for nothing, like it's a plan and it's a purpose, and it's a bigger picture in that. So I'm sorry if that didn't make sense.
No, it did.
But I just wanted to also bring that out before we continued on.
I want to read Des's comment in the chat. She said, "Agree, sister. I like how you mentioned how practical these situations are. I believe it's important to recognize the characteristics of these righteous people in the scriptures, and of course Yahusha. It'll help us walk uprightly and follow through in whatever situation the Most High puts us in." Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I think like T was saying, we sometimes just over romanticize our ancestors and the patriarchs. It's just like, they were human, and like we see all the mess and all the confusion and all the chaos that happened when they deviated from just like simple simple commands or simple promises because of their belief in their faith wasn't quite that mature yet.
Mhm.
We get to see that. So it lets us have grace with ourselves to not be so critical, like, dang, I know y'all told me to do this. I did it kind of, but I like brought this person with me, or I tried to do it this way. And it's like, just have grace on yourself, because we'll be thinking that like y'all's done with us, but like he gives us new mercies every morning. Every morning we get new mercies. Every day is another day to get up and try again. So yeah, she said, yes, Jasher, Tara was tripping. Yes, he was.
Yes.
Tara was wild. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Then Abraham set out and to continue towards Negev. I hope I'm saying that right. And now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarah, I know what a beautiful woman you are. Okay, flattery, thanks. When the Egyptians see you, they gonna say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but you will live. So say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. So I just want to stop right there because I don't know how long they've been married. But I'm not married. I'm a single woman, but like I can't imagine my husband being like, okay, we're gonna go to the Maldives, and I don't really know these people, but like just say you my sister. Like that's what it like. I'm thinking like, oh, we're gonna go on vacation. Well, I know they weren't on vacation. It was a family. But like, hey, you're not my wife right now, you're my sister. Like, excuse you? Like you want me to just forfeit the protection and the provision of a husband because you want to try to save yourself. Like side eye, hard side eye. But I want to give a little context because culturally, Abraham was like, okay, look, if I tell them you're my sister, they're gonna want to flatter me because obviously they're gonna be like, oh, she's beautiful. If we give him this, and that, like, he'll treat us well and we'll have a better chance of maybe like having his sister as one of our wives or something crazy like that. Even if that was his mindset, it was still like, what could have happened to Sarah that first day that they took her from your presence? Like and we know that Abraham, like again, he's human, he's new to this. I don't know what the culture was out in Haran or wherever Mesopotamia they was at when all the Babylonian gods and however loose they might have been with their women, but clearly y'all's gonna correct all of this. And yeah, I just wanted to put my little 2 cents in right there. I was very upset. I think all of us were kind of just like, Abraham, what you doing?
And Abraham was a little split because he was like, well, technically she is my sister. So technically I'm not like, yes, of course, Latanya, technically she is my sister, she's my half sister, but technically she is my sister. But we see the human part, right there. Like, like he's like,
he's fearful, he's scared.
Yes. And we do the same thing. Like, we like, well, we try to find those loopholes, be like, well, yeah, technically, if I do this, I'm not technically doing this, but I'm just like we try to find all these like technicalities, like to justify certain things, that the Most High tell us to do when he give us a command. And it's like, no, just do what I said. Because ultimately his will is going to be done, which we're going to see when we continue to read.
Yeah.
So.
And so be treated well for your sake. So, but again, also this shows that like Abraham doesn't know the fullness of how powerful and how loving the Most High is. Like he can't even fathom that, like, okay, if Yah is with me and he's telling me, okay, I got you, I'm gonna protect you, like you just be with me. He hasn't seen the side of Yah being his protector and the one that will fight for him and the one that will like protect him, because he hasn't seen the Most High Yah in that capacity yet. And so, okay, Abraham doesn't know this side of Yah. So Abraham deviates back to his base fleshly nature of fear and lying to protect himself and ultimately putting other people in harm's way because he doesn't know that Yah is a protector, that Yah is a sustainer. Like he's still very new in this relationship. He made an assumption. Like all that Abraham just said was all, he just assumed everything. He was like, oh yeah, they're gonna kill me, they're gonna take you. He don't know, but he's just like, the worst thing he's assuming, he doesn't even be like, okay, well, let me ask this God that I just uprooted my whole life for, like, how he gonna like protect me during this, or like how I should have peace in this. He just deviates straight back to base autopilot, which a lot of times our autopilot is the worst. You know, Yah wants to reconfigure our brain and our autopilot sensors. He wants our autopilot to be like, okay, Yah, what should I do? Okay, Yah, like, how do you want me to move in this situation? Not autopilot, like, I'm gonna do what I think is best. That's leaning on our own understanding. And so, but you know, like we said, all of us, just like Abram, we've been in this space before where we're just like, this looks like a dire situation. I'm just gonna do what I know I can make work and not really think about the consequences.
That is so crazy because when I was reading this, I was like, so what would have been the solution? Like, obviously, if he told the truth, they would have killed him to get her. And then she's left without a covering, or now she's with these, Egyptians. Or obviously he lied. And I'm like, that's still simple, but you just literally brought it all together. The point was to trust Yah, that he was going to protect them throughout all of it, that he should have told the truth and Yah would have just worked it out for them. Like, I literally, that just all clicked. Just
Yeah.
like, how would he do that? Like, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, yes, grace. We giving our forefather grace, because it's just like, you know what? I get it. I get it. Because a lot of times I feel like, I know when I wasn't like I don't know where everybody is in their faith walk, but when I was like in Christianity about 5 to 7 years ago, I would read this story a lot. And a lot of times, like in like Bible studies or the pulpit, everyone would just like talk crazy about this story and talk crazy about Abraham, like, and he lied, this. It's kind of like we miss the humanity of it, and we miss seeing ourselves in this story that's supposed to be a teaching moment, and we miss the whole teaching moment because we're too busy like puffing our nose up like, I would never do that. And you're just like, you don't know, and you probably have done it before. So let's humble ourselves and see ourselves, and how many times we've had situations where we have acted like this. Maybe you didn't lie, but maybe you omitted some things, because Abraham, he omitted, which is like a type of lie. And so it's just, keep ourselves humble so the Father can teach us. But yeah. So then when Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarah was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken to his palace. He treated Abraham well for her sake, and Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. But the Most High Yah inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife, Sarah. So Pharaoh summoned Abram and was like, what have you done to me? He said, why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she's my sister? So I took her to be my wife. Like, Pharaoh's like, she's gonna be my wife. Like, I was gonna commit a grievous sin of adultery. Like, now then, here is your wife. He's like, take this woman, take her and go. Then Pharaoh gave orders to Abram, to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. So Pharaoh was like, I'm done. The gifts I gave you for her as like a dowry, as a payment to like buy, like, like a bride price. He basically paid Abram a bride price.
Yep.
And he was like, I don't even want it back. Just leave, because, oh my gosh, we're getting played. And so that whole situation, me and T talked about this for a while. It was just like, so clearly it was made known to Pharaoh by these infectious sores or diseases. They probably linked it to, I know for the Egyptians, they were very like into esoteric things. Everything had a meaning. So they already knew that if we're getting inflicted by these type of diseases, we've done something wrong. And so their immediate thought was like, oh no, we done took somebody, this person don't belong to us. And so yeah, T has some speculations too. I'm gonna let her tell y'all, because like we talked about this for a little bit a couple days ago. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was really it. Like, I believe that the fame of Yah was already known, you know what I'm saying? Like, to all the nations, like, that they knew who Yah was, but obviously, these nations, they chose to serve other, gods, and idols. But I believe that they knew who Yahuwah was, because we see later in the scriptures, in the text, where obviously the fame of Israel had, gone out by that time, but they already knew Like they already, you know, when they step foot in somewhere and something happened to them, they like, oh yeah, I know your Elohim. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so it was kind of like a thing where his fame was known. Because I mean, Abba, you know, was there from the beginning. So I believe, let me just say that, you know, they knew the fame of Yah already, but obviously, like, you know, they knew, but they still decided to serve other Elohim. So I just, you know, we were just talk about that little speculation, like, and it just kind of like correlates with what Samaria was saying, like, you know, the Egyptians, you know, they're the type of people where they're like, okay, yeah, something going on, we getting plagued like this, yeah, um, we giving what, because whatever came here, but you know what I'm saying, before we had all this happening, like, we gonna give it back because obviously this is the problem. We have these problems before this woman came into this palace and I decided to take her on as a wife, you know. So they knew what the issue was, and then the scriptures, the text doesn't really tell us, because we know later in another story where this happens again. Yah actually gives, you know, that king a dream and tell him, like, look, I'm showing you this before you even touch her. I'm giving you the opportunity to repent and give her back. So we don't know if it was the same situation like that. You know, it could have been. That's just speculation using our, what you say, sis, sanctified imagination. And that could have been the case, but yeah, we were just talking about, like, where it goes, just sticking with the text. Like, he knew this ain't right. Like, we about to give her back because whatever I did, it had to be something because we're getting plagued like this. So
yeah, I did want to point out when I was reading this, something just like clicked for me. This is like a short version of Israel being in Egypt during the Exodus time, and then, like, because they won't let Yah's people go, they get plagued. But then when they finally let them go, they get to leave with all the stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this looks like a parallel to like the Exodus. Like, they went down to Egypt because of the famine. They're down there for a while. Egypt gets a little too excited, starts taking Israel and using them in a way that Yah never intended, and they start getting plagued. And then finally, when the plagues get too sore, Pharaoh was like, okay, fine, go and be with your Elohim. And they leave Egypt with a surplus of wealth. When I was just like, yo, Yah and his patterns, and he just continues to show us over and over again how he moves. He's like, you're mine, just like Abraham will represent Yah and Sarah will represent Israel, right? Like, give me back my people. And if you don't, you finna catch all these plagues. Like, it was just I don't know. I was just like, yo, why I never seen that before? But I saw it this week when I was reading it. I thought that was just amazing. That just blew my socks off.
Yep.
Okay, chapter 13, where Lot and Abram about to separate. So Abram went up from Egypt to Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Abraham became very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. From the I hope I'm saying this right, y'all. The Negev, he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had been earlier and where he had first built an altar. There, Abram called on the name of Yahuwah. Now, Lot was moving about with Abram and also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them while they stayed together. And I thought that was interesting too, because even the earth knew about the promise. So, like, the earth was like, we're not going to support this. We're not going to support y'all being together. It says, like, it's not like the land couldn't support them, but y'all's like, because of this promise that has already gone out of my mouth, according about Abram and his descendants, this land, this is not going to be able to work. This is not going to support. So their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. And the quarreling arose between Abram's herders and Lot's. And so the Canaanites and the Perez were also living in land at that time. So again, they're still in this land that's overrun by Canaanites and the Perizzites. And then here goes Abraham saying a lot. Let's not have any arguing between you and me, for between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. So boom, he just admitted when y'all was like, leave your kin, leave your family, like leave everybody that's close to you. And here goes Abraham admitting, like, yeah, you one of them close relatives I shouldn't have brought with me. But now I'm like seeing it. I don't even know if Abraham's getting the revelation of this at this point, but we're seeing it for him. For we are close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left. And so he gave Lot the pick of the land, which was very generous. Because like he brought Lot with him, and Lot accumulated this wealth because Lot got blessed because of the first part of the promise. Yah was like, I'm gonna bless you, and those who bless you, like who people who are connected to you, they're gonna be blessed. And so Lot got blessed because of Abram, not because of anything that Lot did. We don't know if Lot let go of his household idols, if he was still carrying idols with him, if he was still serving, the God of his ancestors in his father's house. We don't know that because he didn't get the same call as Abraham. Abraham was already full in of like, I'm going to serve the Most High. I'm going to serve the Elohim that called me to leave my family, my friends, this location, what I used to know, and I'm going to serve you. Lot didn't get that same heart posture call. And so we don't know what Lot was still carrying with him, what Lot was still okay with doing that was from his father's house. And so that's why Yah was like, don't bring nobody from your family with you. This is between you and me. And so we're seeing that now. Does anybody have any notes that they want to, before we keep going? Because I know I kind of be talking fast, so y'all gotta like.
Something small that I maybe realized, like maybe the fact, like I could again be speculating, but I feel like maybe the fact that Abram gave him a choice was like a very small step of him starting to trust Yah. Like, okay, whatever he takes, Yah's gonna provide for me and give me like what I need, And so I feel like that was just like, okay, he saw Yah's character with the situation with Sarah. So he's like, okay, well, he's going to take care of me. I don't want any strife. Let him just choose where he wants to go, and I'll go from there. So that's what I wrote down.
That's good.
Yeah. Pretty much, because he knew, Abraham knew at that point, like, okay, I know what Yah told me, right? So, like, I know whichever way it goes, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to keep my hands clean. I'm not going to cause any further strife with my brother because at the end of the day, Yah's will is going to be done. Like at the end of the day, he had already given him the promise. And so he had that faith to believe that it was already going to be done. So like you said, sis, like he was like, look, you go ahead and get the pick because either way it goes, this is what Yah has given me. You know what I'm saying? So like either way it goes, like it's gonna be done. So yeah.
So Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan toward Zoar was well watered, like the garden of the Most High Yah, like the land of Egypt. This is before Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out towards the east. The two men parted company. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plains and pitched his tents near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against Yahuwah. Yahuwah said to Abram, after Lot parted from him. Now Yah about to go into detail of the promise. So he already told him, I got all this greatness for you, but Yah could not release the details of the promise and the blessing until he separated from everything that Yah told him to separate from. And so there's levels to the promises that Yah has for our lives. And sometimes we're not going to get the fullness of that promise or that word until we do the first thing that Yah told us to do. And when I was reading this, I was like, wow. I guess I got all this for you, but I cannot reveal all of this to you while certain people are in your midst, while certain things, while certain practices, while certain habits are in your midst. I cannot give all of this to you right now until you separate from what I told you I need you to separate from. And so like, I already told you that you're blessed. I already told you I'm going to do all these things for you, but there's more and I can't reveal it until you do the first separating. And I thought that was like, really, I was like, whoa, okay. And so now Yah's telling Abram, look around from where you are, to the north and the south, to the east, to the west. Can you imagine Yah telling this while Lot is around, and Lot just picked the east of the Jordan, and Yah is now telling Abram, all this, even where Lot settled, that's yours. I don't care that you told your nephew that he could have this land. This is for you. So he's like, and because people get jealous, people get angry, but it's just like, I already told you, Abram, that don't bring nobody with you. You brought somebody with you. I gave you grace for that. Cool. But that does not change what I promised for you. And so, man, yeah, so he's telling them, all this land that you see, I will give to you and your offspring forever. Again, Yah is prophesizing over Abraham's life. They have no children. They probably haven't even thought about children. Now is the first time he's mentioning offspring after Lot is gone. Because in the culture of our ancestors way back then, if you didn't have any offspring, it would have went to Lot, because that's his nephew, next of kin. So all these promises and blessings that would go that go to Abraham's offspring, it would have went to Lot. So Lot would be hearing this thing about offspring, like, they ain't got no offspring, all this gonna be mine. You know, he'd have been like conjuring up false ideas and false realities in his head. And that's why he's like, I can't even tell you the whole promise, because Lot is gonna assume that something's for him and it's not. But I'm telling you, you're gonna have your own offspring. You don't have to take care of Lot. And so, yeah. And so he's saying all this to him, is like, I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. And then he gives them another command. Now he says, go and walk the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. And Abraham went and lived near the great trees of Meribah at Hebron, where he pitched his tent. And there again, he built an altar to Yahuwah. And we already talked about what that means when he builds that altar to Yah. He's just like, I'm anticipating Yah's presence. I'm anticipating this land being mine, even though I don't see it right now. This is mine because he said it is. And so that's the conclusion of chapter 12 and 13, that Yah's will gonna get done regardless of you misstepping and tripping over the things that you should have been doing, but like, it's gonna get done. And as we go forward, we're also gonna talk about, like, even though Yah's will is gonna get done, it also doesn't negate the consequences that happen when we did do our own thing in disobedience. So we don't want to sugarcoat this, because Yah doesn't sugarcoat with us. They're like, yeah, all this is gonna be yours, but because you disobeyed in this first step, you're gonna, like, the repercussions are gonna start, and you may not see them, but your offspring will. And so that's another thing too, that we always have to be mindful of, like, what we're doing and how can it affect the generations after us. Because Abraham didn't see all the strife that happened between Lot's descendants. You know, Abraham didn't see all the strife that happened with Ishmael's descendants on Israel. Like, he didn't see it all, but it was choices that he made in the beginning of his faith walk that caused this tension down the line. But it still doesn't negate the fact that Yah is perfect. He allows us to make those mistakes, because he knows that they're for our sharpening and for our betterment and for us knowing who he is. That even when you make your mistakes, I'm gonna cover you and you're gonna be good. You might have just made it a little harder for yourself, but I still got you. You're still who I'm running after, because you're running after me. Because that's covenant. Yeah. So, any comments, questions, talking points?
I did want to add how just what kind of go back just a little bit to how you mentioned the I don't know, it kind of just reminds me of Matthew 10:34-36, just how a man's foe shall be of their own household, just adding to like how it's important we will have to make separation at some point to move forward. But also, like, I love how you guys shared that as well, that like Most High's will is gonna be done regardless. It's gonna be done, and then it all just depends on, well, not depends, it's essential where we are in our life and what we're doing as far as obeying and heeding to his will. But either way, it's gonna get done.
Either way, it's gonna get done. I remember I heard someone say, like, you're not so great that you can mess up Yah's plan for your life. Like, that's another part of humbling yourself. Like, you're not that big to where you can mess up Yah's plan for your life. You may like slow it down, you may make it like longer to where he was, but it's gonna get done regardless. And so that's it right there. Like, Yah loves us so much. We can't even fathom the amount of love that he has for us. He really is like the best father. Like, he's the perfect father. Like Atanya says, he's a good father. He gives good gifts. And like, if he said he's gonna do something for his kids, he gonna do it. And we are a part of that. So take that with you.
And we see that in other, just kind of going off of the comment that Natalie made about y'all working in cycles. We see that cycle over and over again throughout like the entirety of, like, you know, our ancestors' lives, because we even see that in the story of Samson. Yah's will was done regardless. Samson ended up dying. He didn't have to. He ended up dying in the process, but you know, like Yah gave him command. He, you know, obviously, you know, Delilah was, you know, she was on him. She got him to talk, you know. And so he did, you know, he ended up not doing exactly what Yah told him to do or what was purpose for him, but at the end of the day, the was it the Philistines? They still like those people still had to go. Like, you know, like the Most High's will was done at the end of the day. Like, so regardless of us, like Samaria is bringing out, like making those detours for ourselves, those self-inflicted wounds that we might be putting on ourselves, because, you know, like she said, you know, just because Yah gives us grace, that don't mean that we're not gonna have to deal with the consequences of our decisions and the things that we're doing, you know, when we cause those delays. So I just wanted to like kind of like bring that out as well, because we can see that in the story of Samson. I'm just kind of paraphrasing right now, but if y'all get a chance, read the story of Samson, and you really can see like how this whole conversation that we're having, it literally played out in that situation. Because Yah's will was done, but Samson, unfortunately, he died because, you know, he didn't have to, but it was because of those detours and those decisions, you know, that we make when Yah gives us a command. So it just kind of makes it real, because we're all about being practical and putting the word into motion and action, because it is an action, you know, like this word is life, you know, and it's real, and it's something that we do have to look at and kind of look at our lives and see like, okay, how can I apply this to like my everyday life? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of times, like, that's what I am really big on right now, is like, okay, how can I apply this to my life? You know, like, how can I see myself in this? Because I believe that's what it's for. You know, that's what the word is here for us, to help us to navigate throughout like our lives and our everyday lives, so that we can be practical, so we can be perfected in our faith as well. So yeah, just wanted to like bring that out, that like we see that cycle over and over again. Y'all like, okay, you made this detour. All right, well, this is gonna happen. But at the end of the day, my will be done. And it's still what I purpose will still go forth.
Yep. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Well, y'all, that was the end of our Bible study. Next week, we're probably going to go over chapters 14 and 15, because it's going to cover like now that Yah's been walking with Abram for a while, they've been in relationship. They haven't gotten to covenant yet. But in chapters 14 and 15, we're going to get to the covenant part, which a couple of weeks ago, we've been talking about covenant a lot, how like since Genesis 1, it's always been about Yah establishing his covenant, reestablishing his covenant, because Adam and Eve broke the first covenant, okay, and then he had to make another covenant with Noah's descendants, and then clearly they went lost, and so now he's cutting this covenant with Shem's lineage through Abram, and then that's the covenant that we all know of, the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the covenant that Yahusha came to redeem us back to. So it's we're seeing this beautiful story play out. Yes, the renewing of the covenant is all that Yah has been doing since the beginning with us. And so next week we'll be going over chapters 14 and 15, where we're going to see how serious Yah is about this covenant, and how he's always been serious about his covenant, because it's a marriage, and Yah takes marriage very seriously. And at some point in our relationship walk, we have to decide, do we want to be in covenant with Yah? Do we want to agree to those stipulations and be held accountable to what happens if you step out of these things? And so we're going to see the levels of that as we continue to read more. But yeah, that's our plan for next week. Yah willing, we will be back here every Friday at 6:30 CST. Yay, I'm so glad that you guys enjoyed it. It was y'all's first time. I was like, oh my gosh, yay, new people. And so we just want to let y'all know, we are just regular sisters, okay? Like, we have stories and testimonies for days, and like, Yah willing, one day we can get on and we can just like talk about testimonies. Because I know, like, I don't know if you guys like, so we know that I know that I am part of the lost tribes of Israel, right? Not everybody subscribes to that, and that's fine. At the end of the day, you're grafted in via a natural branch or you're grafted in via a wild branch. At the end of the day, you grafted into the covenant. And so the covenant is the same for you and for me, regardless if you're natural or grafted in. And so with that being said, there's so much going on in the atmosphere when people come to teaching, but we just want to be a place to where we can come together and we can dissect this word together. Let iron sharpen iron. And let's be open-minded to hear each other and grow, because our desire is to be closer to Yah, to be more like Yahusha every day. And so this is the community, because it's hard to find community out here, especially as a set apart and the scatter. It's very hard to find a community where people are going to teach the word as the word and not add things to it. Like, yeah, we can get creative and be like our sanctified imagination, but at the end of the day, the text didn't say that. We're just having a little fun, but we're not making that doctrine. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what we're about. We're about just fellowship and prayer. And, you know, sometimes we get on here, we won't have a Bible study, but we'll let y'all know. We're just like, hey guys, just going to fellowship today and pray and talk about, like, you know, where Yah has us right now, and how we just kind of need to like commune with each other and hear encouraging words from each other, or even words of correction from each other. That's what this is about. You know, if I believe that you're attached to the Most High and you have His Spirit in you, I should be open to hear from you, and vice versa, without it feeling like there's animosity or anger, because that's not of Yah's spirit. So this is just a place of sisterhood. And I know that you guys are new. We're new to each other. You're new to us. But that's just what we're about. We just love y'all, you know. So yeah, we're gonna close out in prayer. Does anybody have any praise requests, praise reports? Let us know. We're gonna pray